everything that happens at the table should probably have two purposes. Uh, the nice part about that is that, sometimes you're lucky and it has three purposes or three levels. But the nice part about two purposes is it gives you double the chances of engaging everybody you have at the table. Sometimes I relate this to like designing puzzles. Spy, random question. How do you like to run overland travel in your games? I've tried a few things and never really settled on one method, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. My approach to travel is the first time that the party travels someplace new, I try to make that meaningful. Anytime they travel back a route that they've already gone, we basically yada yada through it. I might inject a little bit of time for role play or a passage of time mention, but it's probably going to be a couple of sentences at the table and then we're moving on. So that's broadly speaking, but like I view travel as the preamble to an arc. So if the party is traveling to a new location, it's probably because there's something for them to do there, or I'm going to imagine something for them to do. So I look at the, you know, where they're traveling and then almost like imagine concentric circles coming out and saying, okay, the closer they get, what's going to start happening? Are strange monsters from that area going to start crisscrossing with, bleeding out to the edges? Are they going to run across other NPCs? Are they going to see evidence of something? Are they going to hear stories? If they camp out, might somebody be leaving or going to that they could run into? Is there a way to foreshadow what they're going to see in the town or in the, at the dungeon that they're heading to? I try to use travel for that. As a result, I'm not a very big proponent of travel-based random encounters. I guess I just don't find random encounters in general very satisfying. Maybe this is a topic I need to explore because either I'm wrong or I'm just different. Maybe both. But it's not that often that I find a random encounter to be, worth it. I'd rather an encounter make sense make sense isn't the right term. I'd rather it be meaningful, and random. It could be meaningful or it could just be a fight for the sake of a fight. So, not sure if that helps or not, but Maki, you haven't had the chance to come regularly to the streams. A lot of things to do, wedding stuff, work, school. Psh. I completely understand. No worries at all. Random encounters can be tricky. Tried them on the Tomb of Annihilation, and those felt trivial, just like a filler thing. I mean, that's the... Like, I like to view whether it's a dungeon location or a city. I really like mysteries, but not mysteries like, okay, Sherlock Holmes, here's your mystery, but more like, I think that a fun gameplay loop is the party shows up, some things feel off, some things feel foreign and strange, and they have to sort of piece stuff together and sort of become masters of the space. They have to learn about it and become knowledgeable. And if that's the gameplay loop, everything that happens should teach you about the area, should give you that extra information. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be unrealistic. I don't think that it should be like, wow, we're the luckiest people ever. We just ran into encounter after encounter after encounter. It was all super meaningful. But it's worth some care and some thought and to say, well, okay, if it's going to be monsters attacking outside of town, what is the monster that is sort of evocative of this location? When they run across it, they'll be like, wow, this is what it's like around here. Like, that's a good thing. If they talk to some people leaving the place, and maybe that's one of the encounters they run into as they are traveling, maybe there's some mentions of things that are going on in town, or maybe there's some mentions of some people, or if there was like an execution, they're going to hear about that. Like, I want everything to feel real, verisimilitudinous, I think the reason that random encounters have never felt right to me is that it feels like I'm just doing more work. Because for it to be a satisfying random encounter, it would have to check a lot of boxes for me. Like it would have to feel legit in the space. It would have to teach the party something about the area. It would have to do, and it's like, okay, well, once I've put that much work into it, well, I don't want them to have a chance of not encountering it. That would be really frustrating. So maybe what I need to do is start thinking about what elements of an encounter I can use like a random table to roll on. That way I can still design the important things that I find meaningful about the encounter, and then let certain elements become a little bit random. That I could be more inclined toward, I think. The purpose of any travel, what do players learn from it? Treat combat as a means to an end. Yeah, a good way to think about it is that everything that happens at the table should probably have two purposes. The nice part about that is that, sometimes you're lucky and it has three purposes or three levels. But the nice part about two purposes is it gives you double the chances of engaging everybody you have at the table. Sometimes I relate this to like designing puzzles. If you design a puzzle, let's use 12 word searches from playing it the other night. The mechanics of 12 word searches are fantastic. It's really fun. It's really interesting. I think I played for 5-6 hours with a PDF, free PDF, played it all night, enjoyed it. But it's just really bare mechanics. It doesn't hit on another level. Like imagine there was a narrative behind it, which is asking a lot. It's a PDF, it's free. I'm not complaining about 12 word searches as a game. But if that narrative element existed, well, now I'm engaged in two different ways. And you might have people that wouldn't otherwise be interested in a puzzle, but they care about the narrative. So when I'm making puzzle encounters or puzzle designs for my game, I usually aim for 3. I usually aim for there should be an interesting puzzle, like that is engaging and challenging and fair. Narratively, it should contribute. Like you should learn something about the world. You should learn about the people who sort of created this lock, and you should learn about the key. You should learn something about everything involved. And I usually throw in a mechanical benefit. So when the party runs up against a puzzle in my game, I want them to be like, okay, well, the last time we solved this, we found an item and we learned that the Baron was screwing over the lords or the guilds or something like that. There's this whole set of things attached to it. And I think that applies to a combat encounter. Why not have combat with bandits? You could have a negotiation baked into the middle of a fight. Certainly if there's like a hostage situation. Once the party has a destination, plan 2 or 3 encounters and that's it. Yeah. I'm certainly not afraid of work. I'm certainly not afraid of putting in the work. But I don't necessarily want to put in a bunch of work and then not have it matter at the table. I try to excise that type of work as much as possible. Because if it's not going to be on the table, what are we doing, right? Might as well go write a book or something, which isn't a bad idea either, but yeah. You researched how to roll a dice in Obsidian, made a template, filled up to 30 days possible encounters, and my players told me that the combat's felt trivial. That's no good. I mean, here's the thing that makes me feel, and this is the thing to keep in mind. I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but when I finally was a player a bunch, like I'd played in one-shots and I played in like a campaign that didn't really get off the ground back when I first started DMing. But about a year ago, I was able to play, I don't know, it must have been like at least 15 or 20 sessions. I played in a short campaign with one of my players. And so I got a lot of time kind of at the table playing a wizard, playing my character. The number one kind of revelation that I came away from the number one thing I realized is that there are so many ways for a player to entertain themselves in this game. And I think I was a little bit blind to that. I think I was a little bit anxious about kind of always providing fun. And maybe I was just excited to be a player and to have a character and stuff like that. But when I was kind of, looking at my character sheet, looking at all these spells, looking at all these situations, I'm like, there are so many things you can do. Like I can form a bond with my party. I can engage with these different characters that show up. I can think of creative ways to use my spells in combat. I can, say things that the character thinks are cool, but maybe are kind of silly because he's just a young wizard. And it kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, I don't need to like even just a combat. If it's not the most meaningful combat in the world, that can still be fun. That's still a good time. That was a freeing realization. That was like, oh, okay, this is like a load off. Once that hit. Okay, so I need a wizard and a witch.